All right, hello everyone. We are on to notes number 3. This will be adding and subtracting complex numbers. So what we talked about in our lesson yesterday was what an imaginary number is, and today we're going to talk about what a complex number is and how we're going to add and subtract those. So let's get started. Your I can for today. I can add and subtract complex numbers. And this will be notes number 3. Alright, so what we learned is when you have a negative number, like -4, that is going to create an imaginary number. So what we have to do is we have to remove the negative from the square root. The negative becomes I, and then you're able to simplify the square root. The square root of 4 is 2, but you always put the number first, so I'm going to rewrite this as 2i. Erasing this one. All right, so we would write that as 2i. So this is considered an imaginary number because it has an I on it. Well, something else that they're going to sometimes talk about is a complex number. So a complex number has 2 parts. It has a real part, or just a regular number, plus or minus, and imaginary part. So what a complex number looks like is this. I might have 5 plus 2i. So they're saying this is real because it doesn't have an I. And that this is imaginary because it does. And I can't add those things together. Do you remember when we did like terms? Since they both don't have an I on them, I'm not able to combine that and say that it's 7i. I have to keep the pieces separate. And we always write it in this order. The real number, the number without I, always comes first, and the part with I always comes second. So, and we'll make a note over here. I said cannot combine. Not like terms. So what we're going to do for just a second is combine like terms. So remember when. You had things like 10 plus 2x plus 8 minus 4x plus 3x. So this is just one big long addition and subtraction, and we are going to combine like terms. I'm sorry this looks so messy. I'm learning how to use this board. It's kind of tricky. All right, so like terms. I've got 10 plus 8. Those are like terms because they don't have a variable on them. I can add 10 plus 8 to give me 18. And then I can go through and then I have 2x take away 4x plus 3x. I can combine all of those because they have the same variable. So I have 2 take away 4 would be negative 2 plus 3 would be 1x. So I have 18 plus 1x, or just x, would be fine. So that's how you combine like terms. This would be our real part. And in a moment, instead of x, we're going to have that variable I that we've been working with, and it's going to become a complex number. So let's look at that. So instead of x, I'm just going to replace it with I. I've got 12 plus 5i. I'm going to make that plus one a little better. Minus 6 plus 3i plus 4. So just for the sake of order, I'm going to combine the real parts first. A real part is anything that does not have an I. So I have 12 is real, minus 6 plus 4. So order of operation says I can just do everything from left to right. So if I have 12, take away 6, that is 6, plus 4 would be 10. So 10 is my real part, that goes first. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to combine the imaginary part. So I have 5i plus 3i. 5, 6, 7, 8i. And this would be my total answer. You can't go any further on this. And it is written in what they're going to refer to as standard form. So please make sure you keep the real part first. And then the imaginary part second. That's standard form for a complex number. Okay, so the problems are going to sort of look a little different. Let me show you what the problems look like. So we are going to first add, and then we're going to talk about subtraction. So add, complex. So what they're going to do is they're going to have, parentheses, a complex number, plus a complex number. Now, they're just putting these parentheses around the complex number to say it's this complex number, a real and an imaginary part, plus this complex number, a real and an imaginary part. Be careful that you don't start distributing, because parentheses usually mean to distribute or multiply. That is not what they're asking you to do here. The big part of this is that this right here tells you you are going to add the complex numbers or just add like terms. So let me show you what a problem will look like. 3 plus 5i plus 4 minus 6i. So these parentheses are only separating, they've got this complex number, a real and imaginary part. Oh. Sorry. They've got this complex number, a real and an imaginary part, plus this complex number and a real and an imaginary part. So really you don't need the parentheses. Drop the parentheses. So I have 3 plus 5i plus 4 minus 6i. And now I'm going to combine like terms. So I'll take the real parts first. 3 plus 4 is 7. And I'll take the imaginary parts second. I've got 5i. Take away 6i would be negative 1i, or just minus I. And that would be your final answer. And that would be your final answer. So let me show you one more time. So I've got 5 minus 12i plus 8 minus I. So we're still just adding, so I can drop those parentheses. There's not a number out here that I have to distribute in. I'm just going to drop them. I don't need them. So 5 minus 12i plus 8 minus I. I'm going to gather up the real parts first. I've got 5 plus 8, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then I can combine the imaginary parts. So I've got negative 12 minus 1 more would be negative 13. And that would be my final answer. Please make sure the real part is first and the imaginary part is second. So I'm going to have you try a couple. Try these. Pause your video, try these, and we'll check your answers in just a second. All right, check your work. How did it go? Please let me know if you have any questions.